PF, Praise Fowowe, even as he joins me this morning to just have some conversations around, looking towards 2024, setting our goals, coming up with rituals and routines, looking at consequences of not doing some things, and just putting all these things together to see how we can better our lives. Thank you so much, PF, for joining this morning. Always a privilege and a pleasure for me to have you.
Thank you very much, Ayo. I don't know why you are signing off for the year. This is supposed to be second to the last meeting for the year. We have
really?
Next week, right?
Oh, sorry.
First Sunday in December. Where are you running to, Ayo?
I'm already in holiday mood.
I don't know. Canada is not. We are still working in the US, right? So it's not the last meeting for the year.
Oh, okay.
Next week is usually our testimonies and our Christmas sessions where we just count our blessings and do. That's how we sign up for the year, So I guess because it's Ayo's wedding anniversary and birthday month, she wants to run away. Okay, so please take note. We have one more meeting to go.
Okay, PF, you know what? Let me just re-announce. So to the house, this is our second to the last meeting. We'll be meeting again next week to share testimonials and to just, wrap up, have a good time as the year wraps up. So that's it. So today we are having this planning for 2024, and next week we wrap up at the House of Savior for the year 2023. Am I good, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon for those of you in Africa. It's good to be here. Very good.
Okay, thank you so much, PF. So we are looking at 2024. And I know quite a number of people on the call this morning are used to, goal setting, vision board party, da, 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 da. And it's usually done towards the end, of the year. And but over time, we've come to realize that these things are just satisfying your emotions, because most of the time people do the same thing the same way and they don't get anything, a different result. I was having a conversation, we were having a conversation last week, and I said I can actually bring out a folder that has my goals from 2003 to 2018. And basically, I was just changing in the document where just the date, whatever. I had practically the same thing rolled in over and over again. And I found out that it was just a waste of time until I decided to do something different. So a lot of people on the call, they've been doing the same thing the same way for years. Some people 20 years, some people almost 30 years, and they are tired. What do you think, even as we go into 2024, as we are trying to unmask this thing that is called goal setting, goal scoring? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm glad that the number of people in the house, intentionally, I did not do a broadcast today because we are getting to that space where we need to begin to know our people. And because if we say that we're a symbol of trust and we're trustworthy, we take responsibility for whatever happens around us and in us. I don't think we need to begin to do broadcasts to invite people to this meeting. So we're going to do a lot of that next year where if you're in, it's 2 p.m. Nigerian time, and it's 7 a.m. Central time at the moment, and you should be able to join the meeting. So I'm glad at the number of people because the world doesn't really need a crowd to take territories, really. You just need people whose mind knows exactly what they want to do. Now, so the first thing I'm going to say is that what we call 2024 is the Gregorian calendar. Ethiopia, for example, were in 2016 by their calendar. I think Nepal is in 2080 or something like that, right? The Jews have their own calendar. Their New Year is not January 1st. The Chinese New Year is not January 1st. And there are several other nations. The Arabic world, Islamic world has got a New Year. So a group of people decided to push January 1 as the start of a new year and built a business around it and got the world into a frenzy. Because the first thing I want you to think about is between December 31st and January 1st, what changes about you? Do you grow taller? Do you grow lighter? Do you breathe differently? The knowledge you didn't have as of December 31st, 11:59 p.m., is it going to happen by January 1st, 2024, by 12:01 a.m.? The intelligence, the thought process, the thinking, the lack of discipline that you don't have, not even knowing the routine, not knowing your life, not knowing the vision, not knowing your priorities, is it going to suddenly happen magically by 12:01 a.m. in 2024? No. And that's why we say that there is no new year without a new you. That your new year starts with a new you. There is nothing that should surprise you about this year if you have not changed something about what you did last year. Nothing should surprise you. You have just done the familiar things. Frenzy, last minute, God of last minute, November, December. What God cannot do, he will do it before the year runs out. You get into that frenzy, got into that excitement. Oh, for those of you believing God for a husband, your husband will not pass you by this year. It's December. Our market, right? And all these things are pointers to the fact that there is no new you yet. Until a new you is formed, there can be a new year. Joe Dispenza consistently says that your personality is what determines your personal reality. And what that means is if you don't become a new person, your results cannot change, right? Is my mentor used to say that a mind stretched beyond its limit does not return to its original state. That your diet determines the formidability and the strength that you have. And when I'm talking about diet, I'm not talking about physical food. I'm talking about the materials you consume. So if I take a look at your life on this call, and I ask you to write down 7 things you do every day, and maybe we should do that, all right? Can you, on your sheet of paper today, and it's something, I've run, this is the 3rd goal scoring session I'm doing in the space of 1 week, right? If you're on this call, can you look into your life in 2023, for example? There must be 7 things you do every day, or 5, between 5 and 7. Can you write them down on your sheet of paper right now as you are listening to me? Now, and that includes you wake up. When you wake up, what do? Maybe you pray. When you do your prayer, your quiet time, to what extent? What were you planning to achieve, really? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? After your quiet time, you will see that there's a pattern to your life. What's the next thing you do? You pick your phone. So that's your routine. To do what? To check social media, to check people have sent you messages, and who are these people sending you messages, really? Are they critical to who you want to be? Are you discussing ideas? Are they telling you, oh, we found a new network for what you discussed with us. We found a new da-da-da-da-da, or you are just, jiving in some funny WhatsApp groups that had no value, right? Or alumni groups where they are posting, backside of ladies, right? The next thing you do is to have your bath. How do you have your bath? Are you aware that so many people contact their greatest ideas in the toilet simply by putting themselves in a state? So you just go and poo anyhow. So put poo in there. Now, after you're having your bath, you have your first meal for the day, right? After your first meal, you drive to work. That's your driving to work or commuting to work. What value does it have to you? I know someone I've booked for the day. That's when she finishes it, right? Release, the feeling is the secret. Another person, a drive to work is about 1 hour plus. thereabout, she reads the Science of Getting Rich. She listens to it while driving, right? Now, so you drive to work. Then when you get to work, you work for like maybe 6, 8 hours or 10 hours, right? How do you do your work? Do you create time for mirror time, 5 minutes during your work, to go to the restroom, look at the mirror and speak to yourself or appreciate yourself? Do you do that? All right, you don't do that. Okay, so you come back from work, come and do what? Social media. To check, what's the latest trend on Gist Lover? Hello to it. You check that. So when you do stories that has no bearing to your mind, as taking you nowhere, maybe you watch a bit of CNN. What do you do next? You watch home video, right? Then after you watch your home video, you keep chatting, then maybe you fall asleep. You don't even have a pattern for sleeping. So, I mean, you guys check for me. If you are done, I want you to take a look at what you have written and put on the chat and be very honest. Let's assume you don't know yourself and you saw someone whose routine is like that. That's the person's routine every day. What does it look like that person is preparing for? If you have answers, put it on the chat box. The person whose routine is like what you have written now, right? If your routine were a practice match, you are preparing for something, jogging for survival. What does it look like that person whose routine is what you have written down is preparing for? Let me see your answers on the comment box. Because it will show you something very critical about you. That if you do not change, this time next year we'll be back here and it will look like the year has worked for everyone, it has not worked for you. And it even starts with who determines your year for you. Many of you don't even trust your capacity to be a co-creator with God or to even create your own life. You are an adult. You are 40 years old. Yet, in the last 10 years, someone who is either not old enough to be your age mate or maybe older than you declares your year for you, doesn't know you, doesn't know your reality, doesn't know whether you have developed, suddenly opens and says a year of harvest for you. And you run. And you're not asking a common sense question to say, have I sown enough seed to deserve harvest? When every of your reality is showing that it should be your year of personal development, it should be a year of self-discovery, it should be a year of networking because your network is very poor. But because somebody declared it supernaturally, you run with it. But you have run all year round now. This year is your year. How far? Where are my people? Are you guys in this meeting at all? I can't see anything on the chat box. Are you guys shy? Right? But that's where it starts from. Once I look into your routine and ritual, 7 things you do every day. If those things were prayers, and God says amen to what you have written down. Okay, Uncle Eugene is here. Because I can't see the thing I asked them to do. I can't see. Maybe people are afraid to share it. This is our house. This is our family. Right? Now, if God says amen to your routine, what do you think your life will look like? Because actually God is saying amen to what you do every day. Okay, so somebody say my routine needs to be born again. Oh, that's not the question I ask you. I said, based on what you have written, what does it look like you're preparing for? Some are preparing for nothing. Some are preparing for normal life. Some are preparing for mediocrity. Some are even preparing for confusion by themselves. They are preparing for confusion by their routine. Somebody say nothing. Some are prepared for gossip. They are prepared for, okay, good, Dr. Princess, self-development. I can see that. I mean, I've seen you around the year. Some people are preparing, they are preparing to be prayer warriors by their routine. They are not just aware, right? Because if you attend 3 prayer meetings every day on social media, then it's a routine. You are preparing for something. You are preparing, either to become a prayer warrior, or to become a pastor, and there's nothing wrong with that, if that is your goal. But we have scripted ourselves to self-sabotage. Hey, Uncle Jude is a more sewing, learning an internship. Fantastic. Right? Because Jesus says, the zeal of your house has consumed me. What zeal consumes you? Really? What zeal consumes you as I'm talking to you? So if I look at your routine, I can see the zeal that has consumed you. So for Uncle G, Mr. Gospel, it's learning an internship. That's the zeal that has consumed him. He's learning something new. He's finding himself. But what zeal has consumed you based on what you read, where you go, what is on your routine daily? What does it look like you are preparing for? If you don't like what you see, you don't need to go for another vigil. You need to sit with yourself and say to yourself, where do I want to go? When you answer where do you want to go, who do I want to be to get to where I need to get to? Right? Who you want to be is what will naturally produce your result. And that is not thought about. So many of us, we have become human things and human doing, not human being, because we have not been taught to live in the present, to analyze, study. You have been taught to get to know your pastor, get to know every other person, even get to know God. You have not been taught to get to know you. So if you don't know you, what goals are you setting really? Because you're not actually supposed to set goals. Your life is supposed to set goals for you. Your significant other, who you truly want to be, is what you set goals for you. So for example, if I have a goal, or if I pray for you right now and I say, in the year 2024, may your net worth be $1 billion US. You are going to say amen. I'm not going to say amen. You are saying amen because you are fraudulent. Because you know your net worth today is less than $1 million. So how are you going to have a net worth of $1 billion? And so you are preached happy, you are taught happy, you are used to being excited. My friend Fisayo calls it low sperm count. He said he can excite, but he can't impregnate. So how will I become $1 billion, in net worth in 2024? It's not going to happen. I know where I am, and I know you cannot jump supernaturally, except I go and rob a bank. But you guys love to hear things that has no foundation, that doesn't speak to your reality. And that is why many of us are where we are, because we've been taught happy, you get you excited. Oh, wow, you've gone for several meetings. So they tell you, oh, if you don't make it in January, now you are in December. You are going to make it, and you say amen. You don't even know how many zeros make $1 billion. You don't have any idea, any unicorn idea that can net you $1 billion. Yet, you say 2024 is your year of becoming a billionaire. I don't know how it's going to happen. Maybe the president is going to marry you, a second wife, and you don't. There are ways, actually. Don't let me say there are no ways, right? But you need to be true to yourself. When you find yourself, your found self is what set goals for you, because you now ask, based on the me, my significant other, what kind of body do I need? What type of financial clout do I need? And what that does is it sets you away from competition. You no longer compete with people. What type of social status do I need? What type of relationships do I need to be? Right? I mean, Goswell and I, we talk about some higher stuff, about what we want to do next year. Right? And so based on our conversation, I am meeting new networks, and I'm sending files to him to say, hey, this is what I found. This is what I found. This is what I found. What relationships do you need? Because let me tell you, 2024 is actually a year for partnerships. Right? If you don't know now, no. Right? Maybe I'll expound on that a bit later. But it starts with, do you know who you are? If you don't know who you are, another person is going to set goals for you. And it's not going to be in your best interest. You won't like it. You won't, many of you don't even love yourself to even know what. This is how the life I deserve. This is how I should wake up as a king. This is how I want to eat. This is how I want to live my life. This is what my routine should look like. And whatever cannot accommodate my routine is going to go. And that's why we say that if you really know where you're going, your no should be your default. Your yes should be rare. Your no should be your default. Oh, come and help me. I'm sorry, I would have loved to do it, but I am busy, because it's conflicting with your goal. So if I can't see the zeal that has consumed you by looking at your routine, then you are just doing mouth exercise. You are not heading, you are just heading to a familiar terrain, which you have no expectation. And blessed are those who have no expectation, for they shall not be disappointed.
Yes, thank you so much, PF. You mentioned something towards the end of our conversation now. You said that our no should be our default. And there was something that I learned from you, while I had my goal scoring masterclass a few years ago. You mentioned in the course of the class that most of the time don't appreciate the fact that we need to have meetings with ourselves. So when people are calling us for meetings, we always say, oh, yes, I'm available. Oh, yes, I'm available, without taking time to meet with yourself. So someone can actually say, oh, are you available to go to so place? And you tell them, I have a meeting. And the meeting does not necessarily mean that you're meeting with other people. You're meeting with yourself. There are quite a number of things I've taken up in the last couple of months. I've taken up coloring, just sitting by myself on the floor and just, coloring and just bringing my creativity back to life. I've picked up my sewing skills again, not serious dresses, but just making patterns on materials. So those are the things we need to begin to do to take time out for ourselves, so that we can begin to have, more intimate relationships with ourselves. We can know when we are feeling in a particular way. The documentary that we watched, Joe Dispenza was talking about you staying in a particular mood until it becomes your pattern. And before you know it, it becomes your personality. So a lot of us need to really sit back and say, you know what? How do I really, really feel? And how have I been relating with myself in the last couple of weeks? So that we can begin to check the pattern and make necessary adjustment. So,
from what you just said right now, many people are afraid of themselves.
Yeah.
Many people can't stand their own company. And it's very sad. And it's not because they don't want to stand their own company, it's because they have not been scripted to be focused and to self-love. It started many years ago. A child is crying. What do? We give him baby. We give him food. We give him something. Everything we are giving a child to make him happy is outside of him, externally generated. So many of us have grown to be dependent on external validation. So when people we love don't say, well, we feel bad, right? Those are symptoms that something is wrong. So when they don't pity you, I don't even pity myself. I don't pity myself because I hate self-pity, right? If I wait on validation and what people will say, how people will support me, I won't do anything, honestly.
Absolutely.
And if I wait on people's gratitude to me, checking on me, I will be depressed.
Indeed.
Right? Because I do so much. How many people check on me? It doesn't matter. I'll keep doing what I need to do. Yeah. So many of us have not weaned ourselves from our mother's breast. That's where we are. We are still in that state where there's a child crying in you, waiting for external thing like breast milk, or waiting for something like toy. So even though you are an adult, you are still living as a child because you need toy, you need a boyfriend, you need a husband, you need somebody to validate you, your husband to take you out, your husband to plant tree for you, your wife to plant tree for you. You don't have a me time. And if your me time is full of toxicity, when you have that me time, you are thinking of what somebody has done wrong, what they didn't do for you, something that happened last year, your spouse that hurt you. I can't even remember what happened yesterday. I can't remember what happened yesterday because my life is too busy. I am vision driven. So to be sitting down and be saying, Tosin did not greet me 3 days ago. What does she mean? My wife did not, my children did not greet me. They did not call me. I don't have time. So many people have not learned to meet. They can't meet with themselves because every time I ask people to look within them, they don't see bliss. They don't see joy. They can't remember. That's why we give them the power spot to help them know that you have achieved so much. It's because you have not chronicled it. So when you ask them, tell us about your past. They are talking about 15 years ago, 30 years ago, what their father did. Well, there was a past yesterday. There was a past last week. They went to a party, they danced, they don't recollect that as a past. So if they can't live in the moment where they recollect and they love themselves with gratitude, how can they create? That is why people run from meeting to meeting. Somebody was talking to me about one largest meeting in Nigeria. And I told her, I've only been to that meeting once. The second time I was there to speak. He said, really? He said, I've been going I said, because I don't like crowded meeting. He said, the best meeting I love is a meeting with myself. I don't like crowd like that, right? To have a large crowd, 100,000 people. Because many of those 100,000 people, they really know themselves, they won't be at those meetings. They are looking for what is missing, hoping that the person they are going to meet will help them find it. But the person maybe has not even found himself. How does he find you and missed 1 million people in a meeting?
It's difficult.
So sitting with yourself has got to be a norm where you love yourself enough to know that, you know what? I have one life to live and I'm going to find me, discover me, and fall in love with me. Once you do that, you've conquered the critical and the most difficult issues that you need to. Because once you do that, then you can take on the world. Because then you won't have to bother. I mean, I remember many years ago, we were at a meeting. This was 2005. It was a meeting. I remember that meeting clearly. And it was Dr. David Oyedepo speaking. He said there are 3 levels of people: those who walk, those who run, and those who fly. He said that those who run, those who walk, they walk anyhow. No, he said those who walk, they walk with many people. He said those who run, they run with a few people. He said, but those who fly, fly alone. He said, that's why you don't have a convoy of aeroplane. Then he went further to say that those who walk, they walk anyhow, because you don't need any intelligence to walk. He said those who run, they run with principles. So if you are running long distance. He said, but those who fly, they fly by instruction. He said that is why people are called instructors. They don't call them teachers, because you need instructions to fly. And so when you understand what is captured in that statement, you'd realize that the best friend you can have is you. And when you have you as your best friend, then you attract the best of other people, because you are self-confident. You sit in the meeting, nobody's greeting you, are fine. You walk with your shoulder tall because you know your aura. You step into a place, a presence steps in there, because you know yourself. And people can pick your vibration, they can pick your frequency, they can pick your signal depending on who you are. That's why some people step into a meeting, everybody wants to talk to them, yet some other people step in, nobody's seeing them. And they say, how come nobody's greeting me? Because you have defeated yourself within you. So self-meeting becomes very critical.
Yeah, thank you so much, PF. You also mentioned mirror work. And that's one very important thing that a lot of people need to imbibe. For those who are just trying to find themselves, maybe they've gotten a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, they are laden with that, they can actually start by saying, oh, they forgive themselves of whatever it is. But for those who have been able to get out of that space, they can begin to just wake up in the morning and you just look at yourself in the mirror and just appreciate you for you. You're such an amazing soul. See how pretty you are. See your eyes, see your lashes, and just, mention every good thing about yourself. I can remember on Friday, the week has been so busy for me. I had like 8 assignments to submit. And within the assignments, those assignments that have children, that will just carry children on their back. I had so much to do. And I made up my mind that by Friday, I'm not going to leave school until I'm done. And by the time I finished, I looked at myself and I just started praising myself in the class. I said, Ayo, you've done so well. Only you, and you were still able to attend to your business, to able to attend to people. You've done so well. And I felt so good. And I told myself, I'm not putting on my system the remaining, days of the week, of the weekend. And that's the way, it should be. That's what PF is trying to tell us. How much do we celebrate ourselves for the little wins? A lot of us are waiting for those big things to happen before we begin to learn to celebrate ourselves. The little things. Someone wrote on the group chat now, Lola, that she was called upon to just, because her handwriting is good, maybe to write on the certificates, I guess. And she was so happy with herself. She's setting herself up for greater things to come. So how much do we celebrate ourselves?
The thing is, so I have a theory, and I call it the grand conspiracy theory. And I say that this is the theory. People discover their voice, and they hype their voice so much that they expect the people around them to keep quiet and join them to be hyping their own voice, right? And so you find out that a man suddenly comes out and he says, I am anointed beside you. You are not likely going to say, I'm also anointed. Why? Anointing is the word empowerment, right? In fact, the word Christ is the word anointed one. Anointed one means the empowered one. There is no human being that is not empowered. The only problem is that while some people have activated their empowerment to become visible, other people have allowed those ones to drown their own empowerment. And because the people who amplify their voice also have insecurity, they can't stand other people saying they are also anointed. And that's why Africa has an adage that says, an elephant does not blow at the same time with his children, right? And so the question is, if father elephant is blowing treble, why can't son elephant blow tenor? Why can't daughter elephant blow alto? Why can't mother elephant blow bass to form a powerful symphony or harmony, right? And so that has defined our leadership, where only one man is speaking to everybody, yet there are other people with potentials there. I even see systems where they say only one man can write a book. No other person can write a book in that system. And human beings sit in there. Human beings, praise the man. They say, wow, the man is meek, is humble. Yet, nobody can write books, right? Nobody can manifest any other thing outside of the man. It's absurd. And that's some of the most absurd things I've seen in my life. That if your greatness is dependent on the smallness of other people, then you are truly small.
Indeed.
If you can't stand the magnificence of I'm Ayo's mentor. If I can't stand the greatness of Ayo, and I actually know what to teach Ayo for her not to do anything with her life. I know how to brainwash her and make her just be amplifying my voice. But to what extent? Right? Because if you have taken some of the courses I've taken, one of the things they'll tell you is that you can use it negatively to manipulate people, but you can also use it positively to liberate humanity. I think a lot of people use it manipulatively, right? Because none of us can finish this work. So how do I feel if I'm the only one everybody is coming to? It's madness. I become imprisoned. That's why many people are imprisoned in their own cocoon. They can't be absent from a meeting. They can't be absent from service. They must be present. They even brag that they don't go on vacation. How? So many of you, I suspect in this meeting, you have a voice that you have not learned to amplify. So even when you are saying, I'm the best of my, they can't even say it to themselves because they don't believe it. Consistently hearing someone suppress your voice, suppress your power, suppress your anointing, you begin to feel you have nothing. In fact, you begin to hear God through the voice of that person. You begin to look up to that person as your savior. That's the way many people are. I know someone who lives in America who was told from Africa, the person he subscribes to, told him he just bought a new car. The guy told him that he had a dream, a vision that car will kill him. So this guy parked this brand new car at home and refused to go to work. He refused to go to work, right? So they had to fire him from his place of work, right? And then when he wanted to go out, right? So the person was sharing the story with me. I said he will now need to take his wife's car or something like that. Can't remember the story again, right? Because somebody from Africa told you that you bought a new car, the car is going to kill you. That's the way people are. People don't trust their ability at all. And if there is anything you have to take away from this meeting, you have to know that there's only one God. Every other person are products of God. There is no one product of God that can sustain another product. It's impossible. Because that person is not God. People die in that person's family. If it was that powerful, his father wouldn't have died, his mother wouldn't have died, his family members wouldn't have died. So once you see death in every family, that's to tell you that all of us are the same level. All right? We are only amplifying our voices differently. And if there is anything you must do for yourself, is to really, really amplify who you truly are and to push your voice out the more.
Okay. Thank you so much, PF. So I'd like you to just highlight briefly. I know that's something that when we have to really get into it, it might take a while, but just help people to have something to jumpstart. How do you find you?
Okay, finding you is very simple, but a bit technical. And I say it's technical because the last time you were yourself was before your age 10, before your 10th birthday. That was the last time you were yourself. Everything that you became later were decisions taken for you. And so, if I ask all of you at this meeting, how was your primary school decision taken? No, let me even backtrack. How was your name, the decision to name you what they name you, how was it taken? Anybody? Right? Were you part of that decision?
No.
So it means that from that moment, someone took over your life, actually, and took a decision for you.
Yeah.
Right? From the time you showed up here. And that's why sometimes I wish that nobody was given any name, so we can figure out who they are really. I don't know where we got the concept of by the 8th day we must name a child. Right from. Because you have named the child based on your reality or based on your perceived whatever, which can limit the child's potential. Right?
Indeed.
Now, so if you are an only male child, you are almost, your destiny is sealed. You are junior almost immediately. Right? Now, your primary school decision, the primary school you went to, how was the decision taken? You will be shocked. They just put you in the school that is next by. They did not consider the worldview, the knowledge base of the people in that school, the belief system of the teachers going to teach you, the culture of the children who are going to be in class with you. So many of us who struggle with poverty and mediocrity, that's where it started from. Our parents did not think that we are poor. Let us find the school of the rich people or something so that my child can be in the same class with them. They just put you in the school nearby. Right? School of A for Ajabi for Bata or D for Doje. They just put you in those schools. Right? And so you were exposed to the worldview of your teachers. You were exposed, I was exposed to the worldview of my teachers whose understanding of studentship is that a student is also a slave. So my teachers brought melon to school, dry melon, for us to peel for them, right? In my primary school. They brought vegetable to begin to pluck vegetable for them, right? And toy for in Yoruba parlance, right? I went to schools that they never spoke English, they never spoke Yoruba, they spoke Ijebu in my school. Ijebu was what everybody spoke, right? So you find out that you guys are laughing at me. I'm being vulnerable and I'm being truthful, right? And so I didn't want, yet in that Ijebu situation, I was the best student. So every time I took first position, of what benefit is my first position in the global scheme of things when I was a king in the land of the blind? I was the only one. My one eye was not seeing anything, right? So that's why I don't like first position, because first position is very relative, depending on the mediocrity of the people in your space, right? So you figure out, how I became who I became right now is by God's grace. That's why I can't stop serving God, right? Now, it's very funny right now thinking about it. Now, so they took that decision for you. Then it was time to pick secondary school. How was your secondary school chosen? Did they consider your strength? Did they consider your potential before they chose it for you? The answer was no. So they chose that for you. Also exposed you to another group of people, another group of teachers. In the midst of that, they chose a religion for you. On what basis did they choose your religion? Because of what they were also told. Yeah, you are from Christian family. What if your destiny dictated that you must be a Buddhist? They didn't bother. They don't even believe that that's possible. So you became a Christian, then they expose you to certain Sunday school teachers who were telling stories about how David killed Goliath. They didn't tell you the application. Now, David killed Goliath with a sling. In Israel, there is a, what do they call it now? This thing that they used to prevent bomb from landing in Israel. Is it drone or something? Right? There is one called David Sling, a tech innovation that when a bomb is heading towards Israel, it detects it and it prevents it from landing. But you know, we are still singing little David killed Goliath, hallelujah, little David. That was what we're told, right? Make me a child like Samuel. He was obedient and so respectful. He never argued with his parents. Yet Samuel did not live with his parents. So where was he arguing with his parents? You know, they just wrote that song so that children don't argue, don't question adults. So you wonder why we sit with leadership and we can't ask questions. Because we've been conditioned out of our original self. That's why many of us are confused as adults. That's why we're confused. So our history of not, you know, our propensity to steal is not devil. It was conditioned. It started from dining table, corruption. Daddy can eat 6 meats. He can eat it anytime. He doesn't have to finish his food. Mommy can eat 4, but there's a child. They give him one small chin meat like that. But there's a condition to that meat that he must finish his food before he can eat. So they conditioned him to be rewarding himself with meat, creating a situation that meat is the king of the food, right? And you know what that means? Scarcity mentality. All of us in this meeting, the first time you stole meat, that was what happened to you. You couldn't understand why everybody. In fact, it's more painful when they're eating chicken and they gave you leg. Leg was what they usually give me, leg. I don't know the meat in. It's not lapo, it's his leg. What is the meat inside the leg? Right? We have suffered, people. Let's be real. We have suffered. We are not normal again because abnormality was our default. Leg was what they put in my rice, and they will not put a condition.
And head.
For the leg. Head is better. Maybe you can still cut some things in the head. Or even, you know, now that you are talking about head, it just occurred to me that I've never bought any chicken in my adult life that had the head there. So what they were feeding us with is not what we throw away. I've never bought any chicken with that leg there. I can't even remember the last time I saw leg. Right? Neck is good. I mean, you can crack neck, you know, but even neck doesn't show up on the chicken we buy now. So it means globally, those things are considered as waste. But that was our default. That was our king of food. So that was how, when our parents found that part of the meats are being cut in the fridge, in the freezer, we were the ones, but we couldn't even be honest enough to say we were the ones who did it, because the consequence for that is beating. To avoid pain, lies was that. So we didn't start lying because we wanted to, or because devil entered us. No, it was survival strategy because we were in prison. And so we grew under that circumstances. Molested at home, molested in the religious space where we couldn't ask questions. You live in a nation, if you grew up in my generation, war against indiscipline. They flog our fathers in front of us for not joining the queue. Then you now expect us to be normal. We are not normal. So what I usually tell people is this: go back and look for 5 people that knew you before the age of 5. And ask them what was their earliest memories of you. What was the first thing they could remember about you? Because they should be able to give you a clue about who you are. Then look for another 5 that knew between ages 6 and 10. Then look for another 5 between ages 11 to 16. Then another 5 between 17 to 22. Another 5 between 23 to 30. Then between 31 to 40, then 41 to 50, or whatever age you are, look for different people and just ask them. By the time they give you their feedback, you will see similarities. You will see patterns. That gives you a clue of who you could be or who you were. When you do that, you now come to yourself and now say that in finding myself, you use the happy model, right? Where H stands for your heart. You as a person, what does your heart tells you that you are good at, that you are the best at? What does your heart tell you that you are? Now, what your heart is telling you is such that even when you see other people do it, you find the fault easily. You can criticize it easily. You know, if I step into a space right now and I see the house arranged, I'm not likely going to pick the fault because that's not my, I just want to live in a house. But some people, when they step into a space, if there's a dot, they can pick it. If something is wrongly placed, they can see it, right? It's a proof that there is an interior decor in you, natural, right? There is a teacher in me. It's been there, natural. When my father as an Anglican priest will be counseling people, I will be there, chipping in my call. He will give me a knock and send me away. Our children don't talk when adults are meeting. But it's always been there, right? So what does your heart tell you are the best at? A stands for your natural ability. What do you do effortlessly? Something that you do that nobody taught you. What is that thing? That you could do it literally for free. It's so natural with you. People call you all the time. Oh, come and make my hair for me. Come on. And you do it with, you do it. There's an hairdressing, a fashion designer in you. But because there's no certification. In fact, I think many of us, the biggest problem we have is our certificate. I started accounting. The last time I did accounting was my final exam, taxation. I remember that paper. I was the first to leave the exam. I ran out as if I was freed from a prison. Because I knew that it was the wrong course. I only studied that course to make money because I thought that's the only way to make money. Right? And show your ability. P stands for your personality. So if you check the first two answers, H and A, your P is your personality. Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? Are you an introverted extrovert? Extroverted introvert? There is a reason for your temperament. Does it align with the first two answers, H and A? The second P is your passion. What is it that you do? You don't remember food. You don't remember time. Right? What is that thing that you do that when you do, you don't remember food, you don't remember time? Right? And Y stands for yesterday. What are the pains? The pains you have gone through is a clue to the classroom. Life will have you attend so that when you graduate, you can prevent others from going through the pain. So don't waste your pain. Your pain is the classroom. Always understand that. Right? So your pain is an indicator of what you're sent here to do. When you figure HAPPY out, you find what makes you happy. Then you now sit still and now close your eyes and look out for your significant other. That let's assume there's a magic one that can make you into what will give you the highest form of fulfillment. What would it be? Right? If you ask that question, pictures will show up in your mind that will make you feel happy. Right? That's your significant other. Then your job will now be, which is basically reparenting yourself. This is where I am right now. I'm far from where I need to be. You now begin to ask, what beliefs do I need to have? Let me tell you, the beliefs that must deliver that outcome is what you must embrace. If that belief included that maybe you need to, get into some stuff, you will need it. If the belief would require you to go to India to go and learn how to believe that way, you might need to do that. Right? Because this is you now taking your life on your terms and living your life on your terms. So what belief? So when your current belief contradicts the belief you need to get to where you need to get to, then you need to align, submit to that belief. That's why your life dictates to you. I find it very interesting, and I said it yesterday, when people make statements in Nigeria like, you don't need any man, all you need is God. You don't need any man. It's not true. Nigeria, the rules of engagement in Nigeria is man, no man. Man, no man. There are nations that you don't need any man because the nation is meritocracy driven. They respect competence. If you have competence, they will hire you. But there are nations that competence is not enough. If competence is enough, Dr. Princess will be Minister for Women Affairs in Nigeria. She should be because of her competence. That's her competence level. She should be. But she's not in the party. So they are not going to pull up her name. Right? So it's man, except somebody that now knows her now insists that Dr. Princess is the best fit for this role. Right? It's man, no man in Nigeria. So if you don't learn the rules of, in fact, there's a course, there must be a course in Nigeria called Man, No Man, 101. Right? The science of thriving in Nigeria, man, no man. Right? Without that course, you will struggle. And everybody saying you don't need God, you don't need man. Hey, all you need is God. They know man. They relate with man. So don't let anybody teach you nonsense, like Fela will say, right? And so you need, when you discover your significance, you now ask, what beliefs do I need to attain this level? What attitude? Your attitude might be arrogance, but it doesn't matter. It's the attitude you need for that. It might be audacity, right? To get to that level, then what actions do I need to take daily? That's your routine and ritual. And so the first thing that will happen to you is that there'll be crisis in your body system. You may likely fall sick. You will feel strange. But there will be a child in you that is happy. But the voice of that child is drowned. So there will be crisis. Serious fight is like war. That says, there's a part of it that says, no, don't, you are going to lose face. People are going to hate you. All the people that love you, they're going to walk away from you. It is better for people to walk away from you and you to find yourself than for them to stay with you in a borrowed flesh. So that crisis is normal. It's the old you wanting to stick to what is normal. But the real you is crying for expression. You must be loyal to that real you. So within like 2-3 months of consistently following the routine, the old you will be overpowered by the new you. You will stab that old you, feed the new you. You will overpower it and the new you emerges. It doesn't mean the result will be immediate. But the more you celebrate that new you, the people that hated you, they will come to accept that new you and the new results begin to show. I hope I've answered the question. Ayo, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
I muted myself when I was laughing. So, yeah, thank you so much, PF. And that brings me to the fact that we need to, as much as possible, when we've been able to get all these things down and also our routine in place, we need to infuse consequences.
Yes.
I've come to realize that that's one thing that a lot of people miss out. Yes, they may have some routines and rituals in place. Maybe they've tried to find themselves to a reasonable extent, but they take out consequence. If I don't do this, what are the things that are likely not going to happen? And I believe when we do that, it takes us really, really far. We find ourselves, crushing our goals, smashing our goals, scoring our goals, and doing whatever we want to do with our goals. So, sir, can you just speak a little bit to consequences? And before you do, let me just share with you one thing I've done with consequences. We have the triangle of life. So with the one I have and the one I use with my clients, I now actually put like a stand under it, and I use it to point to consequences. Because I tell myself that no matter what you do with all these ones, if you refuse to put this, at the end of the day, the whole thing may not stand as well as you want it to stand. So yes, sir, I want you to just speak to consequence. How does that impact how far we go, even with our goal scoring?
So let me ask all of us here, and I need you to all answer this question. There are about 70 people on the call now. Let's assume December 21st, God lines. I mean, if you are here, you're not a Nigerian. There's a beach in Nigeria called Bar Beach, right? It's like Atlantic Ocean. Let's assume God lines all of us at the beach of Atlantic Ocean, right? And looks at our goals for the year. And now says that only the people who at least have done 80% of their goal for the year will cross over to the new year. How many of you will make it? If you will make it, type I. If you are not likely going to make it, type nay. Let's see. And I need all of you to respond. I'll be very honest. Okay, I just said, okay. Nay. Okay. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, nay. I, nay. Okay. Interesting. The nays are so many. Let me flip the question. Let me assume that God now says to you, This is as you break it down to 70. You want to negotiate with God. And that's interesting, BC. I love that. Because many people don't think they can negotiate with God because they say KBOs. It's not true. Let us reason together. Abraham negotiated with God. So anybody say we can't negotiate with God, it doesn't know God. You can. I love that. Right? Because you are given a new perspective. Say, God told Abraham, if I can find 100, I'll be 1,000. I will not destroy Sodom. He negotiated till 10. 10 was a failure by every pass mark. But he negotiated till 10. Right. Well done, BC. I love that. So let me flip the question again. Let's assume God now says that you have till December 31st to score 80% of your goal. I'm giving you till December 31st to get to 80%. If you don't get to 80%, you are not going to go into the new year. I'm going to kill all of you. Right? How many of you will eat 80% within the space of this day? Today is the 3rd, right? Within a space of 29 days. Can I see your high? If you know you will do it within 29 days. Let me see. Let me see your highs. Okay. If you know you won't do it, put no. You are just ready to die and go to heaven. Okay. Hi, so help me God. By the special grace of God, that's Africa. Okay. Where are the highs? Okay, good. Now, this is a reflection of the fact that you are wicked to yourself and that you are not manifesting at the capacity you can truly manifest. Why are you waiting for death before you can do what you should do?
Yeah.
So it means many of us have higher capacity. But maybe because you are comparing yourself with the mediocrity around you, and please, let me say this. Enough of pampering ourselves and being pampered. One thing I've realized is that many of us can't stand the truth. If you are lazy, you wait for people to tell you are lazy. You love for them to say, you are trying. No. If I am lazy, tell me praise. You are very lazy. That jolts me out of more than anything. Don't be pampering me. Many of us have become so badly pampered that we can't stand the truth anymore. Because the truth reminds us of pain. But pain is a reminder of what you have not fixed. If you don't fix it, the pain remains. So you have people who are earning, $1,000 who can be earning. I don't spare myself. I am on my own toes, on my own legs, on my own stuff. I'm in a new environment. Well, I'm pushing myself. Cristiano Ronaldo has pushed himself to the limit, beyond known limit, actually. So stop all this baby me. I have to tell someone today, I have to tell someone the truth. Because if I've pampered you, then you are still not gotten it, then I'm going to tell you the real truth. That's, stop all this nonsense. So many of us need that wake-up call. Because many of us are not doing as far as we should do because there is someone funding you. There is someone there is some security that why don't you live life as if nobody's going to give you anything? You are taking freeloading on someone else. You are taking advantage of someone else. Oh, my husband, my wife. And after all, my wife hands well, so she's going to take care of me. My husband hands well. No, pretend as if nobody's going to take care of you. What about you taking care of them? What would you do differently? If 10,000 people are close to you, will drop dead if you don't achieve your goal. What will you do differently? You will suddenly realize that your brain comes alive. Sleep will leave you.
Yeah.
You will now begin to make calls. Many of us are lazy and we are wicked. You have the capacity to network, to go out of your comfort zone, to meet new people, but you refuse to. Then you now say, I don't know anybody. You are now complaining. What's the other? Then when you now have needs, you will now be calling on people who are going out of their way to help you find something, to help you do something. How can they also depend on you? It's wickedness. And we need to tell ourselves the truth. It's hard. And I'm being asked today, but I'm not being asked. I'm telling you the truth you don't like to hear. You sit still. They will call meeting, you will not go. They will say this one, you will not go. Hey, this meeting event, you will not go. You will sit down, you'll be pretending I'm busy. Your business has not produced the result you want. What business are you talking about? You can't stand truth. So if the consequence is that people that you love will be taken away from you, what will you do differently? You now realize that many of us suddenly become creative. And that's why in Africa, we will now be running helter-skelter as if there was no. Have you not seen people who have house rent to pay 1 year in Nigeria? It is the time the house rent is now 1 week. They will not be running and disturbing the peace of the whole world. Hey, my house rent is due. Hey, can you give me? Hey, they are going to chase me. You had 12 months to plan. Those ones are even good. The worst ones are the ones whose wife got pregnant 9 months to plan to buy Pampers. The day the wife is going to deliver is the day they are looking for hospital. Meanwhile, they could have done health insurance, HMO. They will not do it. They will not say, somebody will now call you from nowhere, praise, hey, your wife is in labor. I say, which my? I didn't impregnate anybody. How can your wife be my wife? What nonsense is that? But they'll tell you, praise, your son is about to be sent out of school. Which son? Did I sleep with your wife though? I have only one son. It's very, very funny ideologies. Guys, we need to wake up in the new year. And that is why consequence helps you travel fast. What's the consequence of not doing what you should do? On your capacity to influence the world as a savior, on the capacity of your family to live the life that they deserve, on your capacity to, be happy with yourself, on your choices. What's the consequence? Once the consequence is clear and you can see it and your mind internalizes it, you are going to be running. Many of us are running as if nobody's chasing us. Some of you on this call, you should be running as if a lion is after your life. Time has gone. Your run, as in you should be running. People should tell you you are too desperate. You are too desperate. Slow down. You are too desperate. When they hear, you need to reply to them that you see what is chasing you. It's a dog that is chasing them. Lion is what is chasing you. And the person that is being chased by a lion and the person that is being chased by a dog. That's what I tell my people in diaspora. You can't be comparing yourself with the Indians, with the people. What is chasing us different? What is chasing them? These guys have a community. They have people in power. We have nothing. So what is chasing us is different. And that's why we cannot be found in parties and hire machine to be spraying naira. When you are on $10 per hour job, you are now spraying $1 so that they can see, idiots can see that you have, pardon the use of my word, can see that you have arrived. You have not arrived anything. You are going to go back. That machine it can hire you. The machine you are using to spray. It's sad. We need to wake up. What is chasing us? The background we came from is different. Many of us on this call are the first hope for breakthrough and prosperity in our generation. So we can't sit still and say, I'm an introvert. I don't naturally like to network. Who called you an introvert? Who called you so if they say there's 1 million to collect now at the top of at the three, what do they call that place? At the junction. The first to get there is the one that will take the $1 million. Say, I'm an introvert. I know I'm not going to get there on time. It's a lie. The real you, the innate power, residual power in you will jump alive. You will run like a mad dog. So guys, consequence becomes very critical. And when your consequence, the more heightened your consequence is, the more you are driven. Has something not happened to you before that you didn't know that you have capacity to do something, but because there was a deadline that was between life and death, you delivered it. So why do we wait for emergency before we begin to run? When we can actually put ourselves on emergency mode to create the life we want. So without the consequence, you will not disappoint yourself and you'll be fine. After all, I will still feed. After all, we say, no matter how difficult it is in the jungle, the lion will never eat grass. Hunger has not wired the lion. Lions have started eating grass. You saw that lion that they put a goat, the lion in Benin Zoo. They put a goat in his cage. The goat was chasing the lion. Nigeria has happened to the lion. It's no longer a lion in his mentality. Goat was chasing lion. Things are changing, guys. So don't fool yourself, right? But I believe that if we put the consequence in place and it's at a heightened emotion and your brain can interpret it, you will jumpstart yourself and you will do things better. Yeah. If you have a question, feel free to ask anyways before we go.
Yes, please just put in the group chats if you have your question. We are wrapping up bit by bit, but there were two things you said that took me down memory lane. The first thing is the way you are infusing humor into the truth. And I experienced that when I was in class with Mr. Yuji. He was telling us some very deep things, and at the same time we were laughing. And another thing that happened to me as we were talking was the day you came visiting me. I know quite a number of people that have interacted with us a bit will know this particular story. You came visiting me, and I'd made pounded yam with very good egusi soup and all, the meat and all. And you said something that day. That was the time I had not, entered into the fullness of all I had on my inside. And you told me that they said, Ayo, I hope that which will make you get up does not happen to you. That, hits me hard. That hit me really, really hard. I cried. You said so many things that day. You lambasted me. You didn't spare me, that day. And it was a wake-up call. That day I made up my mind. I was done being quiet. I was going to be shameless in all I'm doing. I was going to go out there and, just push myself out there. And that I've always done. I'd like to also say here, and I want you to speak to that even as we wrap up, that yes, there are times that you are pushing yourself, and there are times that you may experience a bit of downtime. Yeah. So what is the place of community? What is the place of your tribe? What is the place of the people speaking to you in those seasons of your life?
Okay, so in your goal scoring framework, your team is very critical. I always talk about team because I have always figured out that there is hardly anything you can do all by yourself. You always need people. And so you have the people we call defenders in your goal scoring framework. And the goal of your defenders is when life has bullied you, right? You must have a community you can return to that you want to give up, and they will talk sense into you and throw you back in there to say, we've got your back, right? And so I have developed a bit of thick skin right now. I have figured out how to jumpstart myself when I'm on my downtime. I have figured out how to do that, but not everyone can do that, right? And so there are times that you are putting in your best and your result is not commensurating with the effort you are putting on, right? And so in that situation, you need to know that you are like, so I'll use this example. I remember when I left school, and I left paid employment in 2003. So I went to start, I incorporated a company called Life Media Creation, right? Life Media Creation was what I created then. And then I said, went to seminars and publishing and stuff. I was teaching sexual education. Just doing all kinds of jobs, selling Zobo, preparing choirs, just keep body and soul together. So when we go for meetings, right? And all my friends will come, they were already in banks, they were in oil and gas, I had left paid employment. Right? And so when they come, they'll flash their card. They had cars, I didn't have any car. Right? So I was feeling really down that why is my life like this? Right? And someone had told me, Praise, what you wanted to do in Nigeria, you want to set up a sector, it cannot work in Nigeria, go and start a church, right? And I told them, no, I don't want to start a church. I ran away from home because my father wanted me to go to seminary. Now, so I went back home and I was really, really down. And I kept saying, God, how long will I have to do these things for this thing to really make sense? But I'd already settled in my mind that if I do it for 7 years and it doesn't make sense, then maybe I will return to paid employment. But I didn't plan to return. Because I also learned the 10,000 rule that when you do something for 10,000 hours, it will naturally tip. Right. And so one day I was in meditation. And when I was in meditation, I was hearing God speaking to me. And those are because this is our family meeting, I hardly would say God spoke to me. I love to use human language, right? But so that I don't confuse you, God spoke to me. And it was an analogy. It speaks to me in a very humorous manner. And he said, if I want to make you into a skyscraper, and I want to make your friends into a bungalow, how long will it take for skyscraper to be ready? And how long will it take for bungalow to be ready? So I quickly went to a cyber cafe and I Googled, how long does it take to build it? Then it dawned on me that when bungalow is complete, skyscraper will be at foundation level. So he said to me, never compare your race with any other person's race because I'm making you into a skyscraper. So that comforted me. And I knew that, I had to go through a lot more than my bungalow guys, right? And it's not derogatory. It's just that destinies are totally different from one another, right? And so that word was my comfort at those times, moments when things were tough. I kept my eyes on the goal and I just kept digging. And I kept digging. And I read the story of the Chinese bamboo, that when you plant it, it comes out with a shoot. And for the next 7 years or something like that, it never grows. Now, in those 7 years, maize has grown, rice has been harvested several times. People can look at the bamboo and say it's a useless bamboo, it's not growing. But by the 7th year, they say it grows maybe 11 feet tall within a space of 7 days or something like that, right? And so you need to understand who you are and who you are in the reckoning of the others to say, are you a Chinese bamboo? Are you a cocoa, which is a cash crop? It takes 7 years. Are you maize? So many of you are cocoa comparing yourself with maize. Maize is 3 months. Comparing yourself with rice. Rice is 6 months. Comparing yourself with yam. Yam is like maybe 4 months. You are cocoa. When yam they are harvesting and they are eating, you are still growing. But one harvest in 7 years. But just ensure that you're on the right track in your try moment. Keep doing the right thing. Don't change anything. Just keep sowing the seed. Keep doing the right thing. Keep going out. Keep networking. But your community will help you and sustain you. I remember this year you had a terrible downtime, and I don't know what she got herself into. And I just looked at her. I said, "Are you okay? Who are the people telling you all these things?" Right? I had to tell her, Ayo, this is who you are. Have you forgotten who you are? And from that moment, our energy just picked up. So the place of coaching, of support system, and in your support system, I teach the 3 cycles. You have the outer court. You can't depend on your outer court. You have the inner court. You have your holies of holies. Your holies of holies are not so many. Those are the people you require in those down moments. And you must find them. If you don't find them, you are a toast, right? But we all have down moments. I do. But like David, I've learned to encourage myself in the Lord. I know how I can jumpstart myself back. But some of us need people. You need to go hang out, dance, play, and you need people that you can be honest with. I mean, none of us is self-sufficient by ourselves. We will always need people. Yeah.
Thank you so much, PF. I remember that day you asked me, Ayo, who are you? And I could not answer. I'd forgotten who I was at that point in time. And you began to remind me who I am. And that brings me also to what you mentioned. I'd written it down before, the passport. Yeah. Each and every one of us need to do that. Get your PowerPoint, let it have a red spot in between which represents you, and around it have text boxes that tells you the things you have achieved at some point in your life, no matter how little they are. You've led a group, you've led a community, you've been a leader of something, just put it there. Even if you failed at it, note it down. The fact that you stepped out to take up the challenge, just put it there. And one of the things, that, PF taught me to do is to, from time to time, take a look at the passport. If the place is lightened, you can just put up the light and the glow from all those words. Let it just take them in. You may need to cover your face just to take in just, all the words from the PowerPoint and just let them sink. It reminds you of the things you've done before. It reminds you of your capacity. It reminds you of all that you have on your inside that you are just allowing, to settle at that point in time. And by the time you do that, you'll be amazed at the energy that comes to you as a result of engaging in that activity. So for those of us who are on this call and you don't have what is called the passport, mine is, on my system. I remind myself from time to time who I am, the things I've done, even if I failed at them, all the businesses I've ever done in this life that I've put my hand inside, even if they didn't survive more than 2 weeks or 3 days, I put it there. I've done it. And, it gives me the energy to keep going on. Yes, I think we are wrapping up. Someone said, how long should your downtime last?
You can't determine how long your downtime lasts depending on where your destiny is headed. Mine was like maybe like 5 years, initially, and that was very tough. But I was excited because I live in gratitude. That's another thing. You must learn to live in gratitude. I live in so much gratitude, that I was just having fun. All right, I was having fun. But for some people, when you're in your downtime, find someone who can help you analyze it. Right, yeah. It might just be something you need to tweak. Other times it might be some opportunities, and that will take me to 2024 is going to be heavy on partnerships.
Yeah.
Right, and so if there's any time you need to master people relationship and the right partnership is 2024, because a lot of people are going to collapse, and I'm not a prophet of doom. People are going to collapse, destroy themselves trying to take on opportunities bigger than them. Right? It's not a time where you think 100%. It's a time you think 10% within 100%, a little size of the big pie, right? And so you want to surround yourself with people who can bring value, who can add value, who can, add a whole lot, who you can take on opportunities together. They have to be energies that you have tested and trusted. But you want to find yourself within the space of people are doing something or going somewhere, right? And you must be clear about what you are bringing on board. Right, because some ideas are going to go global, some ideas are going to become unicorn. You might be better off having 1% in what's going to become a unicorn than 100% in what is going to remain local and nobody's going to see. Right, so it's very partnerships is going to be key in the new year. But when you have downtime, just surround it. So you have a coach actually that you can go to, right, and then surround yourself with the right thinking people. I have people, their downtime, they're just eating me. Say, PF, and basically we just do clarity. Someone was having a downtime the other day. I just told her, go and do your passport. Showed her how to do the passport. I told her what to do. She did the passport and she came back to say, Prince, I had completely forgotten everything I've survived, everything I've done well, right? And so some people are like that. Other times, it might just be some clarity here and there. Sometimes it might be people are telling me their downtime. I'm realizing what they're telling me. I know someone who can solve the problem and I'm referring them. And just like that, right? They said a closed mouth is a closed destiny, kind of. You can't be ashamed enough not to speak up. I know many of us, our shame is also in our past of how you've seen people who scored 0 in maths and they brought them out and they sang to them, and so you have been subliminally conditioned not to externalize weakness and become vulnerable. But you see, there is no big deal about it. There are people who are trading shame regularly. Shame is the. Yes. Have you seen Nigeria's social media space? You have not seen Nigerian actresses fighting themselves dirty, the Yoruba ones, and the English ones, fighting themselves dirty, shamelessly. These are mothers, right? So if they are selling shame over clicks, every time I see them, I remember the Yoruba adage that says, a madman, is a pleasure to behold, but you don't want to have that as a child. That's how they are enjoying their life and catching their cruise. So you must find those reasonable heads, that you can be vulnerable with and be open up to, regardless of the consequence, right? But the quality of people around you in your downtime is your greatest chance at surviving the downtime and bouncing back faster. I hope I can.
Thank you so much, BF. Thank you, thank you. I don't have any other question in the chat, and I believe you've done justice. I know there is goal scoring coming up towards the end of the year, stroke the beginning of the year. We will share in the various groups the link to registering for the goal scoring masterclass. I did it, and my life took took a 360 degrees, and it's been amazing. I've also done the same thing with people, share the same methodology with people in my own circle. So we will share in the group the link for those of us who would want to be a part of the goal scoring masterclass coming up. Yes. Towards the end of the year, and so that we can take advantage of it. The truth is, if you do and you follow it through, you can never remain the same. You can never. You can. If you do and you followed it through and nothing happened to you, we will return your money. We are so sure. We will. I hope I'm right.
Yeah,
You will return your money, and you can show to us that you did this, you did this, you did this, and nothing shifted. We will return your money to you. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Yes, a lot of people are saying that they joined, last year. Yes, we will share everything in the group. Yes, we'll share everything in the group. I'll make the announcements in a bit. You will see how you can join the various groups that we have available. And then, okay, we have it 29th to 30th of December. Yes, so yes, see a lot of testimony, as confirmed testimony. People are just sharing, amazing testimonies in the chat. We don't form here. Yes, we don't form here. We tell the truth. If you follow it, it's going to happen, because we believe that prayers is a congruence of your words, your thoughts, and your action. A lot of us, we stop at the words, and that's it. God, do it, do it, do it, do it. No, our thoughts, if they open up our hearts, what's coming out in our mouth and what's going on in our heart, they are two different things. Then our action is totally off tangent. You're going this way, your action is going this way. But if you bring the three together, you can be sure you are indeed praying. And it is undeniable. You will get answers to that which you desire as a person. Yes, accountability, fantastic. A lot of people are talking in the group chat, and you are in for the best time of your life when you engage in the goal scoring and you begin to live the things that will be shared with you. I'll share my screen now so that I can go on to the announcement. PF, thank you so much for always giving yourself selflessly. We appreciate you. We are so glad, to have you in our corner in this season of our life. Thank you so much. You were talking about you going to a secondary school. It's okay. We thank God. The first position is affecting our life now. We give God praise. So thank you so much, PF. We appreciate you. And to all of us who are joining today, we say thank you for joining our General Assembly. And if this place looks like where you want to hang out every week, I know we have someone new today. If you feel this place is where you want to hang out every week, please